Well, folks, he is back on the move. The number one most traded asset in the National Hockey League has just gotten sent around one more time, this time to the Minnesota Wild. Because the Wild have traded forward Sammy Walker to the Utah Hockey Club in exchange for... oh boy, it's the big bad wolf here. It is future considerations. Minnesota Wild president of Hockey Ops and GM Bill Guerin today announced the NHL club has traded forward Sammy Walker to the Utah Hockey Club in exchange for future considerations. Walker collected 2 points, a goal, and an assist in 13 NHL games across parts of 2 seasons in 2022-2023 and up to 2023-2024 with Minnesota, and he had recorded 104 points in 156 career AHL games across 3 seasons with the Iowa Wild. So, that's it, right? That's all we gotta go out there and talk about with this dude. Sammy Walker was a Tampa Bay Lightning draftee back in the 2017 draft, 200th overall, 5'10", 174, a right-handed center right wing, who was taken out of the Iginla High team in the Minnesota High School Leagues. So Tampa, they took their opportunity with this dude. They saw some potential in him. He had spent another season with Iginla High, then went over to the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers system, was pretty productive over there, was the captain for 3 seasons as well. You can check out these Golden Gophers teams and see that Sammy Walker was the captain for some notable NHL talents to be. You do have Jackson Lacombe, who is doing pretty good things in the Anaheim Ducks system right now. You also had other guys like Sampo Ranta, and then eventually, where's the big one? Matthew Nyes. Here you go. That is probably the highest profile guy alongside of Brock Faber that this player, Sammy Walker, was the captain of. But Sammy Walker was the guy. He was the big dog in the Golden Gophers system. He became a free agent, did not sign with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and eventually signed with the Minnesota Wild. Let's just see if that is actually the confirmed situation here. Yes, there you go. So the Wild did indeed sign Sammy Walker after his NCAA career. He did not end up going to Tampa Bay. The next few seasons saw Walker play in the Minnesota and Iowa systems. He was pretty good with the Iowa Wild in his first pro season, getting 48 points in 56 games played. He also had 2 points in 9 Minnesota games. This previous season, though, he did not suit up much. He only had 4 games with the Minnesota Wild in 23-24, 45 points in 70 Iowa Wild games. This season, though, he has produced at a much lower rate, 11 points, 30 games played. So really, not the most high-profile name out there, not really the best profile either when you consider he's 25 years old and he has declined in point production. So this seems to be a big change of scenery kind of move, and the Minnesota Wild are acknowledging, hey, this is probably just best for the player to go out there and get this new opportunity. We don't really need to take anything on. We can just trade him away for future considerations. Let's go back over onto the Minnesota Wild's website and read the initial report they had when they had signed Sammy Walker all those years ago. Take a look at this. GM Bill Guerin today announced the NHL team has signed Sammy Walker. He had recorded this amount of points and this amount of penalty minutes with the Golden Gopher system, ranking 2nd on the team in goals and 5th in scoring. The 5'11", 180-pound native of Iginla, Minnesota, served as team captain the last 3 seasons to become the first 3-year captain in school history. He had posted a career-high 4-game winning goals and led team forwards in block shots as the Gophers won the 21-22 regular season championship for the Big Ten and advanced to the 4-4 for the first time since 2014. He ranked 2nd on the Gophers in scoring and goals and all this stuff. He had won these awards and he was pretty good. Ultimately, though, that did not work in his favor as he was not really able to sustain that level of success in the NHL and AHL. Now he's heading over to Utah, and I wanted to go over some responses to this. So let's dive into this Twitter thread by Michael Russo. He posted this earlier when the trade was made. The Wild trade former Gophers captain Sammy Walker to Utah for future considerations. Hopefully, it gives Sammy a new lease on life. There is another reply here saying Bill Guerin never gave him another chance. So why was Walker called up last year but not this year? Just cap space, or did he just not show off enough? Let's look at some of the replies on this tweet. He's not good enough. He's worse than, okay, he's not great. essentially is what's being talked about here. The Minnesota Wild folks on the subreddit also talked about this at length on their own page. Must be making room for a contract, probably. I was always a big fan of Sammy Walker. I was still holding out hope that a guy with his skill set should be playing in the NHL, but he never really got enough of an opportunity to prove it. Third and fourth line minutes playing with Lucchini and Lettieri isn't really going to help you showcase your talents. I disagree, Choco Pudding says. He got a number of opportunities and never did enough with them. Not enough speed, not enough hockey IQ, not enough hands. Compare him to when someone like Brandon Duhaime came up. Dewey played fast, high-effort hockey and was able to put the puck in the net. Duhaime is a drastically different type of player than Walker. Walker's skill set isn't a big bruising fourth-line winger, which is what lines he was put on. His hands were the best part of his game. That was kind of his whole thing. Of course he isn't the same kind of player. The fact that Duhaime's speed and skill were more than evident than Walker's is an indictment on Walker. If you can't outskill a fourth liner, you're not even a fourth liner. Good for him, I hope it works out. It wasn't working out in Iowa, although there are a lot of things not working out in Iowa that need a reset. Fastal then says here that the organization did Sammy Walker dirty. He never got a real chance to show what he could do with good line mates. They only called him up to have a body for the fourth line. That's never been his game. I will always remember that few game stretch where I somehow deluded myself into thinking that Sammy Walker would become a top six forward because of his flashy moves. And ultimately, I think that's one of the bigger things that stood out about him. He's not big, he's not the best physicality presence. He is just a guy who had some really good skills, and that allowed him to produce a significant clip in the NCAA and the AHL 2 seasons ago. I mean, 48 points in 56 games played as a recently debuted 23-year-old certainly isn't bad. It's just for Sammy Walker, unfortunately, the opportunities he had had with the Minnesota Wild didn't really allow him to use those skills because being placed on the fourth line in a checking role just is not his game, unfortunately. I do understand the perspective that opposes it, like, hey, if you're not able to outproduce or outplay fourth line guys, and maybe you're not even a fourth liner, but at the same time, maybe a top six opportunity, maybe a middle six opportunity for Sammy Walker would have been appropriate to fully try to capture what it was that made him so successful in the NCAA and AHL levels to begin with. I mean, he did have a small cup of coffee upon signing with the Minnesota Wild. He had 2 points in 9 games played. Not the worst in the world for sure, but now in Utah, there is an opportunity for this guy to go out there and try to do some damage. The Utah Hockey Club have been pretty interesting, especially when you dive into the team dynamics the past little while. I mean, they have some names, for sure. Clayton Keller has been awesome this season. Nick Schmaltz has been pretty kind of clutch at times as well. Barrett Hayton has been good. Logan Cooley is injured right now, but he has been fine as well. Dylan Genther, of course, has been an absolute world beater for the Utah Hockey Club. But aside from some of these top guys, I mean, other players haven't really been showing off all too well. You've got some names rotating around here. I mean, to be honest, I see a lot of these lower tier guys on the team, and I see just a lot more checking lines, like Lawson Krause, Jack McBain. Yeah, these guys are going to average like 5 hits a night, but man, is that really where Sammy Walker deserves to be playing if he even gets Utah time? Maybe he'll just get sent back down and kept in the AHL, who really knows? Liam O'Brien, also a guy who goes out there and checks your head off. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Minnesota Wild trading forward Sammy Walker over to the Utah Hockey Club for future considerations. If you're a Utah fan, where do you think this guy slots into your lineup, if he even makes the lineup? If you're a Wild fan, what are your thoughts on the way the Minnesota team treated Sammy Walker? Was it fair? Was it unfair? Was he just not good enough? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.